like the universe is in fact always talking. You just don't, you have just been trained to not to listen. Um, and did I tell you that Alan Watts has a bird metaphor exactly like my bird metaphor?
The holding a bird and letting it
Uh,
fly kind of a thing. I think so. But you said that a couple months ago, I think.
it's just crazy. Anyway, um, but if that were and I hear about people have like six businesses all the time, like it's not that uncommon to have six businesses. And if I kept the Realtor's Edge as a separate business and that was housed on Stan Store and all the stuff about mindfulness that was really fully geared towards real estate agents and it really wasn't part of the Mindful CEO collective, or it just wasn't part of this podcast, that mastermind. Um, or How to Live a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up World as the in-person individual, book and course, which really is outside, which is really that really is sort of that book is really the source of it is part of the Mindful CEO column. And I recorded it as a standalone um course,
Yeah.
uh really geared, oriented towards real estate agents. The whole content of it is
Yeah.
sort of skewed that way. There's just no book, no separate book, which I could easily write, but um, I could also send people over. Anyway, so, just keep that as the Realtor's Edge, as a separate business.
Right.
And that does then separate, you know, grateful industry from fucked up industry from fucked up world. Um, Fucked up industry is part of a separate business. Um, And then I'll just go back and unbreak the link and put the link back to Kajabi. Um, which is then going to break my email again. I had to get that fixed with GoDaddy. Um,
Hmm.
I think that's the simplest solution, Chris. And then you and I can strategize about how to get more people into the mastermind, although I'll be running the live program again. And then okay, so then wait, so let's look. How do we get more people in the mastermind? Um, ah, well, we just keep running the Grateful World cohorts, and whoever's in that gets the opportunity to be in that.
I
Um,
think I think you can have the hang on, can I draw this out for you?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
my
yeah,
there's a
please.
image in my head
Ooh,
growing and
yes.
me
Whiteboard.
I, let's
Yes.
iPad this thing.
Yes. Oh,
It
how do
really
you have
is.
your iPad? I just got a new iPad. So how do you have your iPad set up to Zoom?
In Zoom, when I go to share, just like you'd share a screen,
Hmm.
on advanced options or more options, there's something that says AirPlay iPad. And
Uh,
then you click that, and then it waits. It says on your iPhone or iPad, please make the thing. Tap screen mirroring.
mhm,
It gives you on my laptop. It's
mhm.
telling me what to do. So on my I drag from the top right down, and I hit screen mirroring and Chris's Chris's
Okay, yeah.
MacBook Air, and it's not too complicated, but you just have to know where to
And then
click.
what's
So,
that software?
and this app is called this map is called fucking Canvas. Shit, I don't remember what this is called. I think it's called Canvas, but it's basically 100, not 100. It's limitless canvas. You can scroll, zoom in, zoom out, swipe left, right. I mean, it doesn't end. Versus like most, you have to go up and down and kind
Mhm.
of feel limited. Um, anyway, so so there are, you know, Chris has stuff and Aaron has stuff that he's working on.
Mhm.
And where my stuff and your stuff intersect, create, I think, an opportunity for the mindful CEO. And you've got Realtor's Edge, and you've got EXP, you've got how to live a grateful life in a fucked up world, and you've got these different things, right?
Mhm.
And those to me feel like Aaron's things. Those are your things. I don't, just like you're not trying to cut me
Mhm.
out, I'm not trying to cut myself in. Those are your
Right.
things
Right.
that you're leading in the world. That to me are top of funnel things. As people come down the funnel, some will feel like the mindful CEO, if we can dial in what it is and what it offers. Some will be like, I really want to be in the mindful CEO. Others will be like, I really want to be
Mhm.
in your team in EXP. Others will be like, I want to, whatever, hire you as a coach or a
Yeah.
mentor. And so right now, because the mindful CEO as a product, as a service isn't super dialed, we don't know which of these things are. Is it a part of that? Is it part of that? What is it?
Right.
I've got my thing with Jody, which is called Emergent Culture Labs. It's really about corporate culture, and it's going to be a separate LLC. And I've got conscious businesses. These are really my two big things right now. This is more for a solopreneur, and this is more for
Mhm.
corporations. Um, and I'm out I'll create content. I'll meet people. I'm speaking locally in Spokane. And so some of my stuff becomes potential. And we both have the mindful CEO. I guess, here's some
Yeah.
deliverables
This is a really
podcasts.
good way to think about it. I like this.
So if we can dial in how the mindful CEO is uniquely distinct from what the other things I'm offering and the other things you're offering.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, okay, good. Yeah. So I I just two thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yep.
Couple thoughts. One is we don't use the mindful CEO very much to workshop things. Like get specific. Our conversations are general or theoretical or you know, coffee talk on some level, like bigger items, right? They don't really,
Yeah.
we rarely ground them in
Right.
specific projects. I don't bring the work I want to do around the realtor's edge or, um,
Yeah. Right.
and you don't bring, conscious business conversations, right? We don't, to workshop the business aspect of that, which
Yeah.
we might want to lean into, like actually I don't think it's quite practice what you preach, but it's not far off,
Yeah.
right? It's like, okay, well, here are some things that my business is dealing with, right? And you know that I'm always have this concern in the background of the utility of what we're doing. Um, so there's an interest for me there. That's an interesting that would be of interest, right? If you brought things and I brought things to the equate to the pod. Here's what I'm dealing with this week. Here's how I, use trust or whatever we were covering, right? Um, in our businesses.
Hmm.
Be interesting to start. I actually, the more I say it, the more I'm left with, well, what the fuck have we been doing? Um, you know, how come we're not applying this to our business on an active basis? Mostly I blame you, but that's normal. Uh,
Did
so
you
there's,
see did you see Nobody Wants This with Kristen Bell
yeah, we're not through the second season yet, but yes.
and her podcast with her sister, where they're really just, it's like they're just talking about anything and everything, getting in arguments like what, but it's they're not workshopping it, but
Right.
it's in some ways it's what I think where you and I are dancing at the edge of that. And if it was workshopping something, like it really is taking the crayon for a walk, but like it makes for really interesting conversation. You're like, oh, here are
Yes.
some mindful CEOs really wrestling with projects they're working on in a mindful way. Anyway.
Right. Right, good. And then the second thought was so I just got booked myself as a guest on someone else's podcast and uh we stopped having guests
Yeah.
and we could get back into that because it keeps things from getting
Yeah.
stale or redundant and um
Yeah.
we could even create a prompt of the week, mostly. And in those conversations that we had with the guests when we had them, I don't remember leaving one episode where I didn't think, oh, that was really fucking interesting.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I thought that was really powerfully interesting. And um, the guest whose show I booked myself on uh, was how he grew his show was he systematized the mechanics of his guests sharing the show, which is something we did not do.
What does that mean? He did what?
It means, collecting headshots and screenshots and um, making sure that
Productizing the conversation, taking stuff out
no,
of the
just making
conversation.
sure that the guest had the link right away, the link when it
Oh,
came
sure.
out, follow-up emails, graphics from the show, clips from
Yeah.
the show. Like I just got lazy about it and stopped sending out clips of the show for them to do it and then follow-up emails about them sharing it and doing that. And, I
Yeah.
got Michelle now making clips of the show.
Yeah.
Either I get her to send it out or she just makes clips and I get my VA to, here's the guest. The VA's got uh, a file with the show notes. The VA is already transcribing the show. Um,
Yeah.
but getting that really systematized so that there's, four emails and then one that goes out 3 months later,
Yeah.
a follow up, like, but really like nurturing that relationship
Right.
and maximizing the opportunity
Yeah.
because the show's, been on a very steady trajectory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is a generous way to say that. Um,
We're yeah, I like um we're talking about deliverables right now, like as it relates to like what is the product of the mindful CEO? What are the deliverables of the mindful CEO? We have a podcast, we've got a mastermind, workshops, projects, um, deliverables. But if we could zoom out, this is where the design aspect of like really having some guiding principles that make have us understand our partnership and the direction we're headed, where we make decisions from. Um, at the top here, obviously, what is defining the cathedral, the
Hang on
infinite
one
game.
second. Hang on. This should be the show. Uh, I want
Well,
this.
I mean, we could, but it's half baked for me. So I feel
That's
like
who
we're
we
working it
are.
out.
That's, is that not the show? Is that not who we are? Is working shit out, taking the crowd for a walk?
I mean, we can try it and see. I am recording it just for our own administrative purposes,
Right.
but yeah. Well, you
But is
tell
that
me. I
not, I
mean,
mean, is there something, I don't feel like we ever get someplace and we're like, okay, I feel like this is the point where we say we should be recording this because it's interesting.
well, then, to be very meta about it, we are recording because I started recording
Right.
uh 20 minutes ago, and it gives everybody context. So if this is an episode, then we've already got the context, and we don't have to recreate that for people.
Okay. Are we going to edit or we're just going straight with
Well,
this
no, I don't want to edit.
thing?
I hate editing. It's nobody wants to edit.
I understand.
Isn't that what
So,
we're doing? You said okay. So it's we're already recording. So my point here is like, and for the sake of the podcast, if this becomes an
okay.
episode, I mean, I think it's easy for when we're in business mode, in CEO mode, to go straight to deliverables. It's easy to go to what's the product, what are we selling, what are we delivering, and it's easy to bypass the bigger conversation, which is what's the premise, what's the infinite game, what's the
Yeah.
cathedral, and by the way, that's not static. I feel like you and I had talked about that 3 4 years ago, but now it's evolved. So like we said, like, well, now that things have become clear, we've got different versions. You've got Realtor's Edge, you've got uh, Living a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up World, you've got EXP, you've got these different things. Where does the mindful CEO, as a partnership, as a joint journey, live? What is its unfolding emergent premise? So, let me just finish that thought. So then
Yeah,
from
yeah.
that, I think there are tenets. We talked about this last week in the mastermind, which I really liked. There would be tenets. There would be something in writing that we would generate and recreate on a monthly basis. Hey, let's go back to that leadership document that you had talked about at Landmark. Like, let's go back and Aaron and Chris sit down and go like, how are we doing with these agreements and these tenets? And from those tenets come practices like talking about them, taking the cram for a walk in a podcast. And from there, you can actually trickle down in this image I'm drawing here, down into the deliverables, because the deliverables are an extension of the game we're playing, the cathedral we're building. So I can feel for myself, I'm in a place where it'd be helpful for me in our partnership to talk about what is the cathedral when blank happens, the world will change. What's the infinite game we're playing in the Mindful CEO that's distinct from the games you and I are playing in our other businesses? Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, no, it's good, Chris. I do think, I mean, we've had it be static, or more accurately, I think you could say we let it die, or let it
Sure.
atrophy. Um, just going through, which is distinctly not mindful, distinctly mindless, right? I mean, that's
That's
the
great. Yeah.
definite, right?
Hilarious. Yeah, it's great.
We've been mindless about that. And
Yeah.
um yeah, it's enlivening to relook at that and what is the premise or the, you know, of our work together. I think it would be really useful to recreate that. Um and then have that flow down to tenants, agreements, values, you know, practices, containers. It's a great model
Yeah.
there. Great flow chart. Um and we are gonna I think this is a good episode. Um uh So let's just start there. Let's just
Yeah.
relook and see what is it why are we together? What is this? Um, what did we start this as? When I go back to my experience, recollection, um, of our beginning is
Yeah.
whatever it is, 3, 4 years ago, just you and I just shooting the shit about how bored we were with the standard conversation in real estate, how the only thing people talked about were units and GCI,
Right.
and there was no conversation for anything else. So that sort of was the thing that was the dragon that we were out to slay at the time, and then that morphed into just business in general. That wasn't. It turned out to be not unique to real estate, but that
Mhm.
business in general is a public conversation for profit, loss, KPIs, what shareholder value, but rarely does it encompass um, what really matters to people.
Yeah.
Rarely do you hear people talking about and keeping alive uh, actively that which matters now. It's usually about chasing something.
Right.
And I am, and you are, and this was really a haven, a safe place, a container, if you will.
Mm. Ooh.
Ooh. For people who wanted to escape that general conversation of hustle that hustle culture provides of being, what's outside of that? What is outside of that container? What's out there?
Right.
What else could we talk about? What else could my business be for? What else could my life be for?
Mm.
Um, so I don't know how to say that like a cathedral, but if you were one possible way to say that like a cathedral is, just like a sanctuary space, safe space, sanctuary city, like a place for people to go to be protected from the ordinary conversations of hustle culture. People that want to build a business, want to build a life, want to have something that's deeply connected to what matters to them, wants the whole thing to be holistic, not my job's over here, my life's over here. And, I go to my work and then I come home and have all those spaces be
Yeah.
distinct, but have a life that encompasses it all, which doesn't mean your job, does not mean your career is, you're perfectly welcome to go do a job, be done with it at the end of the day, and come home and have a life that's completely distinct. But at the same time, recognizing that all of that exists as a creation inside one life.
Yeah.
Um, and this is a place to explore that, see, discover what's missing from that happening, how explore ways to make that happen, conversations that would empower that happening, things like that. That's what, and I think that you and I together present um, a unique and useful perspective on that. Like that's not something that I could do. I don't think I would get nearly as deep or as you and I are just good partners for that conversation.
Yeah.
That's what I
Agreed.
see our cathedral as. Oh.
I think if I so I'm listening to this through the filter of um how is it what you and I are doing different from the other things I'm already doing in my other businesses. So
Mhm.
um where emergent culture labs, which I'm creating, building with Jody, it will have its own podcast. We're writing a book right now, is really a focus on corporate culture. It's sort of like what it's the manifestation of what you and I are talking about at a corporate level inside big companies. Like that's, when people are being mindful, and we have a whole framework around all that stuff. That lives over there and it's very corporate centered, which is not what you and I are doing. And then there's conscious businesses for me, which is much more small business, people who want to use business as a force for good and is really becoming a network. It's becoming a place
Mhm.
where we can find each other. Where can I find other conscious business people to refer to? Because I trust where you stand and what you're building. That's very business forward, even though in the background is a conversation for what difference you want to make, what infinite game you want to make in the world. Where how I'm hearing what you and I are creating, this conversation then is even more personal than those other two. That this is really starting. This is the personal development leg for me. Mindful CEO is a sanctuary space where you, as a mindful CEO, get to slay your own dragons of hustle culture by wrestling with um, the conversations you're having and
Mhm.
truing up through mindfulness, truing up your path. And so I'm just talking this out loud with you, but this is what it makes it feel distinct from my other businesses and valuable to the ecosystem, valuable to the things that I'm working on.
Mhm.
And I don't, I'm not to say it
No,
for
that's
you to,
great. I appreciate that. And for me, right? I mean, so you're bringing your two businesses
yeah,
into this. And I'm bringing all the different businesses. I have my personal real estate business, the Realtor's Edge, which is my training arm for real estate agents, the Living a Grateful Life book series, books. Um,
yeah, bringing them in. I mean, I'm not bringing them in and you're not, where they become feeders. I think those things become potential
well, not
places
just
where you
feeders,
and I
not
are,
just those people might be interested in this conversation. So there's
yeah,
that.
right.
But there's also, where the CEOs of, where if
Yep.
we're here, and that's what I was saying earlier, is I think it's been missing
Mm,
is our bringing our real life businesses to this conversation and having the opportunity to examine publicly, taking the crayon for a walk about, let's say, the Realtor's Edge or emergent technologies or whatever you're working on, and actually look to see how could this, uh, the conversations of being a mindful CEO impact my real no shit business.
mhm.
And I mean, I know that we've shared a little bit, I think, about my quarter and the breakthrough results that I had in the
Yeah.
quarter, right? We've talked about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think more of that. I think that would be useful inside this as to keep it alive and keep it from getting too esoteric or too theoretical.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's interesting.
and that may be a tenet of the mindful CEO that um, there's a place for theory and there's a place for lab, that both matter. And I think we've leaned heavy on theory in recent weeks.
Yeah. I mean, if you go, I mean, just side note on that, if you go to any sort of design thinking, systems thinking,
Mhm.
you're literally thinking about theory first because before you can test a prototype and design something, you're like, okay, well, what are all the possibilities? Like, this is what is great about design thinking. Um, you know, don't just do something, design it. Don't
That's right.
don't just go create shit. Like, put some thought behind it,
Yeah,
and don't just put thought behind it. Do shit.
right. You got to do both execution, and we have talked about that execution versus
Yeah,
theorizing,
yeah.
ideation.
Ideation, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've been lax on bringing execution in. Um, and I would like
So
that. Yeah, that's good.
so one more thought on the just so if I can also hear the years ago Jim Collins wrote what was it the Built to Last book, and in it he talked about Built to Last companies preserve the core of who they are, but they also stimulate progress as technology and new ideas emerge. And I can hear in this some of the core of how this got started for us was your premise of when people find their agency or have agency in their life, the world will change. And as I'm listening to like how does this particular venture that you and have with the Mindful CEO fit in my ecosystem, this becomes sort of uh, a sanctuary city for people finding their agency. It's distinct from I don't do that in conscious businesses directly, and I don't do that in emergent cultural labs directly.
Hmm.
This conversation feels like the places we explore in theory and lab are about you, me, our people having agency for the cathedrals they want to build in the world. Like that's sort of what our conversation serves, I think.
Right, with you 100%. Uh, for me, this is an opportunity to bring it to a wider audience than just the real estate community that I play with in the Realtor's Edge, and it helps
Uh-huh.
clean those lines up for me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're not the where this whole thing got hazy was in the blur between the different
Right.
circles
Right. Right.
and keeping those straight.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, it's gonna
We
be interesting to try to get that domain back to Kajabi now that I'm thinking about it. It was funny to get it.
uh, you know, having a and then that's the kind of thing like being mindful, bringing forward the premise or the cathedral infinite game, the to find ways to keep talking about that continues to generate it for me, and otherwise it gets blurry, it falls in the background, and I so from that, if we say if we were going to say the premise of this venture you and I are doing is really to create a sanctuary city for people to find agency to do their business in a way that is not conventional, is not
Mm,
the gravitational pull of the way it's always been done. This is about you finding the thing, the cathedral you want to build, giving you space to think about it, to talk about it, to play with it. So from that um, comes different ways we can design experiences for people, for members, for people who want to pay to be in. I don't think our business, our product is not a podcast. That is a lead
right.
generator. That's an introduction. This is who we are. This is the conversation we have. And if you want to dive deeper into that, then what you want to do is be a part of our mastermind because that's where we lab this stuff out. That's where you get an opportunity to participate rather than just listen. And that really becomes the core offer. There could
Hmm.
be other offers, but that's the core offer. We're saying greases the wheel of your agency. You want to get more access to your agency, then you want to be in the mastermind because that's the primary deliverable that does that for you, that we've designed to do that for you.
Right. And it does it through. And so the whole thing is, I mean, there are different offerings in the world where you can get what we're
Sure.
offering agency. They may not say it this way, but
Yeah.
different ways to say it. But this is particularly through mindfulness and meditation and the world that that opens up. Um, that slowing down and meditating and all that opens up.
Yeah. It's not like we're the first people to offer mindfulness and meditation spaces, but
No, no,
that,
either. But both of them, you can get them individually, lots of places. There's
yeah.
different places to get different sets of distinctions to empower your business. Um,
Yeah. But people that would choose ours would choose it because, this is just, that's the part about resonance. Like when I feel connected to the way you say things,
right.
or I like that you're just the meme king. I just love that you're so irreverent and witty about
Mimi.
your commentary on humanity, that I like your flavor, your style. It's not like,
Hmm.
there's only one shawarma place to get your shawarma. Like you can get
Right.
shawarma, but I like the spices that you use.
We're really using shawarma as the metaphor. That's very good because I don't think that's a common
I've been on a
metaphor.
bread kick. I've been making gyros and koftas, and I've been making all kinds of stuff lately with my own flatbreads. And it's in my space, but it's it's not like there's only one place to get a pita. There's lots of places to get a pita. But I come to your bakery,
Right.
Aaron, because I like your attitude about the way you make your challah bread, man.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I get that. I get that. There's lots of coffee houses.
There's lots of coffee houses. Yeah, that's right.
Good. Okay. Well, I think that's a really useful frame, Chris, and I really am now left with I got to figure out how to get the domain back. Um, but I do think that then that in the Don Miller sort of when you confuse you lose, right?
Yeah,
That clarity sells. I think that's a really clear set of boundaries, lines.
yeah,
My businesses, your businesses, where they come together, why people would meet in the middle, what
mhm,
they would meet in the middle for. Um, and I think that's, all using the work of mindfulness to get there, right? Like the work of being in communication and
yeah,
noticing and curiosity and beginner's mind to find and discover, okay, well, you know, how did we get here? What
yeah,
are we really committed to now? I don't think the fundamental commitment of the mastermind or of the podcast or of what we do here in the Mindful CEO has changed very much. Um, aligned with the way you said that. And I do, but I do think this word about sanctuary is nice because it creates a safety, a safe space, a container for people to explore. Excuse me. Um,
right.
that. Um, okay. What does mucus do? New question. Why is body generating mucus? I'm just wondering, what's
That's
the physical purpose of mucus? Why is my
right.
nose
On our
all of a
next
sudden?
episode, join us when we discover the
It,
utility of mucus.
I it's gotta have some utility. I can look it up.
uh,
Anyway, um, I'm stuffy. That's why I'm asking. Uh, all right, groovy.
Amen.
All right.
Well, if I had to leave it like next steps for you and coming back to an administrative conversation here, like
Mhm.
I think it's good to, on a regular basis, whether it's in the podcast or even, not on the podcast, to revisit the premise, like agency and why does this matter? How is this different from the other ventures we're doing? Why do I like you? Why do you like me? I think those are important things. And then I would like to explore, like, well, what are the tenets? Like, how would we, if somebody walked into the Mindful CEO, how would they know that we were walking our talk? Like, what practices could we put around ourselves that help us true up to? It was funny because you said in the beginning, like, we haven't been very mindful about what the premise is or what the cathedral is
Right.
kind of blurred itself out. So how do we true? I think having tenets and practices, those are front hand, back of the hand for me. Tenets, values, agreements, and practices for those tenets, values, and agreements. I would like to explore with you what those are.
Good.
And it's not now, but I would like to do that another time. So
Good. Okay, good. And that's, that's what we've been working on in the mastermind. So, tomorrow's group.
esoterically, yeah, from a theory, from a
Yeah,
versus
like,
you and me
but
having
I'd
our
like to
own. But
bring
yeah,
this sort of real life. Okay, here's what we were dealing with yesterday.
yeah,
And how does, you know, having a purpose, or how does neglecting your purpose let
mm.
things go wonky? Because that's really, I'm comfortable saying that's what happened here.
Clearly that's exactly what happened
Okay,
here.
fine. Excellent.
That's great.
Yes, no, I
No,
was
no, but I
trying
mean
to, yeah,
that's yeah, but that was that specific action was the result of both of us not holding a
yeah.
line for the conversation and being
Or just
mindful of
having it not be present. It was just,
right,
it got
right,
blurred out, and I was just sort of moving in whatever direction I felt
yeah,
like I needed to go in, but without the guardrails of, okay, well, that's a separate entity that doesn't get messed with. The purpose of that thing is this, right? The purpose of those words, the mindful CEO, is this.
yeah,
That really, those just became one more set of words
yeah,
inside a grab bag of other words that was just confusing to me. So,
yeah.
you know,
Okay.
yeah,
Good. Well, this is helpful. This has been helpful for me and clarifying for me, even like how this fits in the bigger ecosystem of the things I'm working on for my
yeah.
cathedral, my bigger cathedral. So
And
thank you.
yeah, thank you. This is great. And so as far as the episode goes, right? I think it's useful I think it's useful to give people an example of what it looks like to hash something out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Without any, just because it takes something to get alignment on a purpose and a mission and a cathedral and a game. And if you're not willing to do that work and get messy and break it and get back to it and clean it up, and
Yeah.
you're not going to get it. You're just not going to get one.
Yeah.
It's not going to get handed to you. And it's not going to stay whole and complete by itself.
Yeah.
It's not going to last. Everything falls apart.
It is an interesting, I mean, that this might be a topic for another time, but I mean, I can, I imagine a lot of partnerships or people in business with each other don't say what is in their space. Like you did something and then where you changed the domain and it broke the links and it
Mhm.
whatever. And then I just was like, hey, I'm noticing this thought. Like, I want to revisit how you're feeling about this partnership. And it wasn't emotionally charged and I was really detached from it being one way or the other, but like, hey, let's revisit that. And and then you're like, yeah, let's talk about that. And here we are having a really productive and constructive conversation about truing up the thing and making sense out of chaos. But a lot of people just either would get so pissed. Who do you think you are to just make decisions like that? Or now you fucked the whole thing. I mean, people can get
Yeah.
really emotional about stuff, and that makes it hard to really pull a collaboration off. But so
Yeah, I think that's obviously one of the tenets that we work with, Chris, that we embody, you and I embody, and why we work together at all is because we're both, open and willing to dialogue about whatever's there. There is no way things are.
yeah,
There's just the way things seem, and
right.
your email to me about that was about as respectful as you could get. It was like, hey, what is up with that? And as soon as I saw your email, I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize this was going to change things on that end, right? Like
Mm.
no
Yeah,
intention to change things on that end.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And I trust you for that. I feel safe to send you those kinds of thoughts because I'm like, Aaron would handle this in a way that is constructive and honors the relationship and I think that's a piece of mindfulness too. But anyway,
yeah,
all right, man.
good. All right.
Okay. Well, people listening, we have no place to send you because Our links are up in the air, right?
Right. They'll be back. The Mindful CEO will be back as a link. The mindfulceo.com will be back as a link.
Yeah.
Um, to get more information about joining the mastermind. You're already on the podcast, so share, like, and
Yeah.
give us a review on the podcast. That'd be great. Um, and until
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Peace.